Welcome back, and as the summer update approaches, I thought it only made sense to go through some of your ERC suggestions. So I've scoured through the PLC suggestions channel, taken a screenshot of the best few, and so let's take a look at it. Starting off with this one, which is collidable stop signs, as well as the ability to drive through the guardrails. Now I think everyone will have a different opinion on this one, because the amount of times I hit stop signs, speed signs, all of those, they're all over the map and they're very, very close to the road, and I hit them constantly. It would be good for roleplay servers, of course, and maybe DOT could then go and repair it, similar to the fire hydrants. But at the same time, in a public server, I think many of us are going to find that pretty annoying if we're just constantly getting damage. Traffic light auto control. This is great for construction site roleplays or road maintenance, and essentially means that if you have multiple traffic lights within that one area, they all sync up. So I'm not sure entirely how this would work. Like, is there a certain perimeter in which the traffic lights would sync up? I'm not entirely sure, and it would then get a lot more complicated if you had more than 2 traffic lights. Now this is an interesting one, an art gallery heist. I really want to see longer and more detailed heists, because a lot of the robberies in game you can do within 2 minutes, 3 minutes even. The fact that you have to prepare, gather equipment, you have to stake out the art gallery security system, that is something I really would love to see. More interactive and in-depth robberies. And as a result, you get rewarded with more money for spending longer on this robbery. The stolen art can be sold to a dealer. Each stolen art piece can give up to $6,000, and a total of 5 art pieces can be sold during one heist. This is what I'd like to see, and I think a museum is definitely something we're missing from the map right now, so yes. Camping tools for the civilian team. Now this is something I've noticed more, I suppose, as I've been playing a lot more in my roleplay server. And it's basically that there's a lack of civilian tools or props to use around the map. And I really do hope either in the tool store or maybe a new store down in the county. Here they give the example of being able to buy tents, camping seats and sleeping bags, but even just being able to buy different props. We did a nice roleplay the other day using one of the police department trailers, just colored it green or something, then brought out Pyro Park and did a nice camping roleplay out there. So I definitely like to see some camping supplies, and on top of that I would love to see more civilian props that you can either buy or spawn in private servers. Ah yes, the age-old question of when will this building be updated? I really don't know. It's been 5 years now, I think roughly around 5 years that building has stayed pretty much identical, hasn't changed. It survived the summer 2022 update, where every other building in the city got updated, and we all thought maybe they were going to do a separate update later on in 2022, but no. The last 2 years it has been standing still, hasn't changed, so maybe we'll see something updated with it this summer, who knows. This is an interesting one. I've seen a lot of people talking about this and reposting this suggestion recently, which is basically turning this building on the corner into a city hall, and then changing one of the buildings with the underground parking garages into a courthouse. I think a city hall would probably make more sense in Springfield. I mean, Springfield's pretty tiny, but I guess that could be a cool building to add into Springfield, and then they have a big courthouse in River City. Maybe the developers would like that a bit more since they can spread out the buildings a bit, but still, I definitely love to see both of these buildings. And they did talk about courthouse in the dev Q&A a few months back, so fingers crossed for that. Fixing the turn ramp. So this is the on and off ramp at Highway 55 and I think that's Fairfax Road, if I've got my road names correct. But yeah, this is basically coming out of River City and onto the highway. And the amount of times I've hit that lamp pole right there is crazy. So the current garage has a few customization options and lacks the features of selling vehicles. For the summer update, add the option to sell a vehicle for 60% of its original price, and more customization for the rims, brake and engine upgrades. As always with these photoshops, it's really hard to tell who's the original owner and creator of these, so please do let me know in the comments below if any of these are your own creations and were just forwarded on so many times in the PRC suggestions tab that we kind of lost track. I think vehicle upgrades could bring a lot of new players into the game. A lot of the players from Greenville and Southwest Florida, both of those games have a lot more detailed vehicle customization options, and so I think a lot of those, you know, could come and check out ERC. and so it could be beneficial for the game. And it's also cool for car meets and gives us something else to work up towards in terms of spending. Adding the ability for private server owners to change the names of pretty much everything. So currently the only things you can really change are the department names. I think it could work similar to how you can currently change the speed signs or the speed limits on certain roads. You simply go over as a private server owner or co-owner, click E, and then just write in a new name. And I think that could be a nice subtle detail to add that any roleplay server not based in Rose City would love to see. This is a really cool bunch of photoshops and suggestion in general. So they had the idea of a limited but still efficient helicopter flight system, because of course if we let people fly helicopters in ERC, we all know how it's going to end up. So, in the piloting seat of the heli, the pilot is given a UI of the map and options to change the altitude. Then they will select a spot on the map to fly to. Once the helicopter has arrived at the spot, they can decide an approximate place to land and select it. A few examples of usage for the helicopter would be medical transportation, water rescue with the aid of a winch, as well as the option for a bucket for forest or brush fires. This would be insane. Now again, I don't know how much control the PLC developers would like to give us over a helicopter, whether it would just be selecting locations to fly to or selecting locations to land or drop water, but some of these photoshops look incredible and I can only imagine how that would be in game. Really, really cool. The ability to view the dashcams on fire and EMS vehicles. Currently this is only an option on police, but I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to view them on all of the departments. Because firefighters and DOT workers, they won't be wearing body cams, but most departments do have some sort of dash cam on. This was an interesting suggestion actually that I hadn't really seen before, and it was talking about plug-in hybrids. So you'll be able to both charge the vehicle and fill it up with gas. I think this is a really cool feature. There's also a pretty nice UI which they've created and attached where you can basically select which mode the vehicle's running in. And then, you know, it'd sound a bit different. Maybe the acceleration would be slightly different as well. With electric, it's going to have a quicker pickup. I'm not sure if this would be something the developers would be considering, given it's probably a lot of work to get this to function correctly, but I like this regardless. Making the cutters and spreaders useful. I very much agree. Currently when holding them, they don't do anything. They play a small animation, opening and closing, but apart from that, they don't do anything. So I think it would be really cool, like guns or melee weapons, if you went up to a window that could break and you opened and closed them or something, then the window would actually break. Because currently firefighters just have to roleplay this out and then walk through the door normally. Private server props for roleplay server owners who are in the roleplay pack. So owners and admins can spawn in as many vehicles as they wish, as well as other various props and tools that are found on all teams, and place them wherever around the map. I very much like this. So as you can see in this image, they've got vehicles, but mention that you could also have things like barriers or cones or trailers, I guess even. Placeable things that you could just put around the map. Like maybe you could just spawn in a bunch of cars in the parking lots and stuff to make it look really realistic. Of course the server would be lagging pretty hard, but I guess it would look cool in photos. Very simple suggestion, but adding more Easter eggs. I love finding these, I love making videos on these, and it's really cool when they do add them, but it's pretty rare that the developers actually add proper Easter eggs. Usually they're just bugs. So yes, I'd love to see more Easter eggs like the one on top of the bunker. This suggestion makes a lot of sense. Currently one person carries the backboard. It does look kind of odd because there is no way they can lift an entire person on this backboard by holding it out in front of them. Like the physics are not adding up here. So if you were able to have another person that could go onto the other side, they request the access or they request the ability to hold it, then it would make a lot more sense. They just have the same animation as the original holder, if that makes any sense. And last suggestion we have are custom sirens. We talked about this in the past, and I think the only way it will actually work is if PLC creates packages, I suppose, that you can either buy or just use in your roleplay server. They're just different departments or different variants of sirens, because they talked about this in the Q&A. If they gave everyone the ability to upload their own sirens, then things could get pretty messy because you don't own that sound. Either way, I think this is a cool Photoshop, and hoping or Siren library maybe. Even if the devs just add a few options that we could choose from, I think people would be that'll be a good start at least. All right, well, that is all the suggestions we'll be reviewing today. Thanks very much for watching, and if you did enjoy, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with all the latest content. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.